As parents, we all know that the holidays and the vacation time with our children are the times that we create some of the best memories. Those are the paydays for parents. That's the time that we cherish, and it's the time that, whether you're married or not, you take very seriously and spend a lot more time planning out because it is important. And during the middle of the week and during the regular times, that's when we're in the trenches doing all the work. So we like to take those times and be with our children. And one of the most difficult parts of a divorce is the idea that you're not going to be with your child for specific holidays. And that's because you now know that that child's going to have to share it with the other co-parent. And when you talk to parents that have been divorced for a while, our experience has been that most of them would say, it was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Now, I don't want to try to paint it out to be, unicorns and rainbows. It's not, of course it's hard. However, if you will think outside of the box, if you will not let society tell you what your holiday and vacation parenting time plan should look like, and by what I mean society, those people around the water cooler that got divorced and their divorce didn't go so well, and they like to tell their horror stories and add unnecessary drama. Remember that you can customize this agreement, and that if you take the high road, the one that we are strong advocates of, recognizing that some of the negative emotion that you have now is going to dissipate, that the best version of you is a different version than you are perhaps right now. And the same can be said for your soon-to-be ex-spouse. If all that is true, then we don't need to have the rigidity that is often in place when a court makes the decision on the vacation and the parenting time. The courts have a very mathematical method for doing it. It's simple. Holidays and vacations are split 50-50. The courts make a list of all the holidays and they cut them in half. If there's 20 holidays, one parent gets 10, the other parent gets 10, and the next year that flip-flops. And that's the court's version of fairness. And it sounds on the surface to be the fairest plan. But is it possible that maybe with time, there could be a different version? A version where instead of dad getting the 6-year-old child for Halloween one year and mom getting the 7-year-old child for Halloween the next year, that maybe mom and dad could take their child trick-or-treating together for their 6 and their 7 years. That is something that is not weird, and that's not something that you should think is impossible. If you will give yourself a chance to think outside of the box, to heal, it's not an unusual or a weird thing for an ex-husband and an ex-wife to get together on a Christmas morning and share a Christmas morning experience with their kids. Now, of course, this sounds a lot easier to say than it is to do. And that would, of course, be the case. However, I will tell you, with a proper mediation agreement, with some boundaries on communication defined and set, it gives you a chance to heal properly so that both of you can still enjoy some of these. It will not be the same as when you were married. And of course, there are extenuating circumstances. When there are new significant others that are involved, that can change things a little bit. But it doesn't need to be the extreme change that you think. And if it benefits your child and your child has a happier experience, then would you be willing to consider making some sacrifices emotionally for their well-being? I'm amazed at how many parents will spend $15,000 in therapy for their child, but they won't even think about sitting next to each other at a soccer game. Planning your vacations and planning your holidays with that in mind, you can customize them. Get together at the beginning of the year. Use an online calendaring tool like Google Calendar or our app. Look at what's happening in your life. Look at what's happening in the child's life and plot out your holiday plan for that year. It may be that for that year, mom is going to get Easter with the children 2 years in a row because it just made sense for some reason. Avoid the tendency of keeping score. Err on the side of doing favors for the other parent. Find the holiday plan that works best for that year, and next year, find the one that works best. For that year, you can always default back to the court standard of fairness. And a good mediator can help you craft an agreement that allows for that flexibility with a backup plan to where you can have that kind of ability to have a holiday or a vacation parenting time agreement that's going to allow for the child to live and have their life and mom and dad to live and have their life and still be able to enjoy each other for those memory experiences like vacations and holidays without trying to stick a square peg in a round hole.